Are you ready? It's Saturday Night Live. Saturday nights, right here on the F.I.R.M podcast, the F.I.R.M 365 24/7. Right here with your hosts, Ulysses and Flavius. Getting down to the bottom of things, whether on Facebook or on YouTube. We appreciate you following, getting in on the fellowship of the F.I.R.M tonight. We've got an interesting topic tonight. We got some things to cover tonight, to uncover tonight, to reveal, as they say. Y'all know what it is. What up, world? It's the F.I.R.M. Saturday Nights Live, right here on the F.I.R.M podcast. You know where to find us on Facebook and YouTube at the F.I.R.M 365 24/7. Politics.
Y'all know we got a big date coming November 8th, but tune in November 6th.
Man, we got some elections coming up, don't we?
Oh man, if you are not living under a rock, then you know. You just know.
A new poll from the company found just 17% of Americans are satisfied with the
way you vote or don't vote. You need to pay attention to this election cycle because it's going to set up, y'all. You know, we're one step closer to the new world order
has ever been.
I'm paying
Gallup started measuring it 4 decades.
9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here at the F.I.R.M.
I am Herschel Police Officer, and I got my training on Call of Duty. If you want your kids to learn the ABC,
isn't really sure if he approves this message or not, but he signed the waiver anyway.
What up, world? It's the F.I.R.M Fellowship in Righteous Manner podcast. If you're ready to fellowship in a righteous manner, then this is the podcast for you and for your neighbors. You know what I'm saying? And your grandmama and them, and your papas, and all of them, and the grandkids on down. You know what I'm saying? Tune in right now. Tell a friend. Tell somebody that we're live right here on the F.I.R.M podcast. We're ready to fellowship. We're ready to get into whatever it is that we're about to get into. I don't know exactly what we're about to get into, but we're definitely about to get into some podcasting. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Ulysses, man, how you doing, sir?
What's going on, world? Hope everybody's doing great. Hopefully everybody's having a wonderful weekend. That you enjoyed your friends, your family. That you out there barbecuing, chilling, whatever it is that you're doing. Hope you're having a great time while you're doing it. We want to thank you guys so much for spending your evening with us.
Appreciate y'all.
You could be anywhere. Be doing anything. But y'all chose to spend it with us, so we're grateful for it. You know, it's a beautiful weekend, man. Just relaxing, you know, spending time. I'm here in North Carolina this weekend. That's why you see the hotel room in the back.
Okay.
Had opportunity to spend time with my kids and my grandkids.
Oh,
man. So I'm super happy, man. Family, man. So my heart is full. My heart is full. You know, so that's how my weekends been. I leave tomorrow morning back to Pensacola, back to reality. You know, back to the job.
Back to reality.
You know, though I got a confession I need to make to the F.I.R.M family.
Okay. Okay, that's what we're here for.
Yeah. I went to visit see my daughter, and I wanted to go see her at work,
Okay.
just to see her and hug her and love on her, and to the left of me, to the left, was this machine at Walmart where you could buy scratch offs tickets,
Yeah.
lottery tickets, all sorts of games you could play. You know what I'm saying? And then I saw that there was a drawing like last Wednesday that nobody won.
It's been publicized.
So the jackpot is now $1.6 billion.
That's a lot of money, man. It's a whole lot of money.
Yeah, so
you know what I'm saying?
just so I'm just like, okay, cash out from a $1.6 billion. That's good.
Okay.
Looking about a good 700 million.
Okay. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Not bad.
Like that can help pay the bills.
Change your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, it could definitely help pay the bills. So I was looking at that thing, and I'm like, baby girl, you want to go buy one?
Yeah.
She was like, no, but you can. And I'm like, you convinced me.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
So I went ahead and got me one of those lotto tickets for the $1.6 billion jackpot. So I have it in my possession.
Okay.
The drawing is supposed to be, I think, like at 11 o'clock tonight. Or something like that. You know what I mean?
Okay. So you're gonna find out.
So pray for your boy. Pray for your boy. Pray for your boy. You know what I'm saying?
Anything's possible.
And hey, I'm just saying. So that's my confession, man. That's my confession.
Okay.
But but outside of that, man, God is good. God is faithful. Faithful is the key word. You know what I mean? So, and the main thing, man, is that regardless of what's going on, regardless of what's happening, regardless of what people say, no matter what, man, God's view of you never changes.
That's right.
Doesn't change. So I'm grateful, man. Yourself, my good sir.
Man, I'm doing good. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm excited about the show. I'm excited about being here. I've been having a great weekend so far. I can't complain about a thing. You know what I'm saying? Just been out here working with folks, working things out, working through things. You know what I mean? Sometimes frustrations getting stirred up. You know what I'm saying? And even though the spirit of God should be getting stirred up, sometimes a little frustration is stirred. You know what I'm saying? And it's listening to the spirit. It's warring with the spirit. You see what I'm saying? And it's like, which one is going to give you the victory? That's the mindset. It's not which one weighs the most. You know what I'm saying? Or makes the most sense. It's what's the outcome that you're looking for. So if you're looking for success, if you're looking for peace, if you're looking for love, if you're looking for something to be mended, you know what I mean? Whatever those things may be, I know that having that outcome really determines your lifestyle, and that lifestyle is determined by who's fighting your battles. You know what I mean? Who's fighting your battles out there? Are you fighting your own battles? Are you waging war for you? Are you standing up for yourself? Well, here at the F.I.R.M Fellowship, you know what I'm saying? This fellowship in righteous manner. At the end of the day, no matter what we talk about, at the head of the table is our master. He gets the final word, and he gets the final word in my life. And if he don't have the final word in your life, then I understand why the outcomes don't make sense to you. You know what I'm saying? because you trying to find wisdom and knowledge to help you through the chaos when the truth is you need guidance and help. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I'm enjoying the Lord giving me the guidance, giving me the help that I need in every time of need, and helping me to see a successful outcome. Like the outcome that I hope that most of us are hoping to see at the end of 2022 is a bearable one, a fair one. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I don't know. Maybe you get ahead this year. Maybe you close the door on some things this year. Maybe you
Mm.
gotta get your second win at the end of this year. I don't know what it is, but either way, the fellowship is where we get to talk about those things. I'm doing well. Glad you're doing well, my brother. Glad you're getting down there. Getting a chance to spend time with family, invest in your generations of the fruitfulness and multiplications of your life in Jesus' name.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? But tonight, we got some good topics going on tonight. You know what I mean? So we're going to get right on up into it. Tonight, we're going in a direction we don't normally go into, but it's here now.
It's here.
You know what I mean? It's here now. I think the
Eventually.
conversation is going to be politics. You know what I mean? That's what we're going to be talking about today. What about them? How do you feel about them? Do you think that your vote really counts? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. I know that the outcome of voting matters to many people in America, you know what I'm saying, approaching this November 8th. So it's a conversation that my fellow host, your fellow host, you know what I'm saying, Ulysses brought to the table for us. And he said it's time to discuss it. So we're doing it tonight. You know what I mean? We're getting into it like only we do. And I guess without further ado, we'll welcome each and every one of y'all to the F.I.R.M Pod.
Be released from that anger, resentment, and bitterness. You know, that's evidence.
Our context on it, and it kind of changed the definition.
Convinced himself that he's sufficient for himself.
I love discipleship. Why I love mentoring.
The us and the us and them is ever growing.
Facebook posts, Instagram posts, just another way of connecting with people.
Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another great conversation on F.I.R.M Podcast.
What up, world? This is the F.I.R.M. Yeah, I mean, the views expressed in the clips that'll be showed tonight do not reflect those of the host of this show, nor the streaming platform from which they stream for when it comes to the F.I.R.M Podcast. But these clips will be used so that we can emphasize and exemplify some of the things that are going on today in politics. With that being said, I know politics is a tough issue for a lot of y'all, so we're just gonna get it out of the way. Caution, you know what I'm saying, to the wind, so that we can have a free and open conversation. We're talking about political views, you know what I'm saying? Your political views, my political view, the political views. Ulysses, man, where we at? You know what I'm saying? Approaching, what are we approaching really?
Man, we have
Mm-hmm.
an election in a few days.
Yeah.
November 8th, Tuesday. If you haven't been paying attention, if you go through your Facebook feed, Instagram, Twitter, whatever it is that you got, Snapchat, you see a lot of people with their stickers. I have voted.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are encouraging other people to vote too. You know what I'm saying? So it's political season. You got the Senate, you got the House up for grabs. The governors and the senators and they're all trying to win re-election. if they're already in
I'm
position,
trying to get it back.
or they're trying to get elected if they're not, if they are the income, or if they're the ones that are trying to income their way in. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very trying season for a lot of people. As far as politics is concerned, you see it blasted on your TV screens, you see it blasted on your social media feeds. It's in your face. I don't know about you, but I know Facebook has tried to remind me like a couple of 100 million times to register. Have you registered yet? Why haven't you registered yet?
I know.
It is a serious conversation because it affects a lot of people. It affects everybody in one way or another. Whether you choose to vote or whether or not you choose to vote, it still affects you. You have spouses, you have family members that are at odds, you have people who cut each other off because of politics. It is a very touchy subject.
It is, man. Let's cut to this clip real quick so we can kind of see where we're at today, and have a start point as far as to break the ice in this conversation.
The networks examined by the Media Research Center were ABC, CBS, and NBC. The study looked at positive and negative comments made during their evening broadcasts. It looked at midterm election coverage from September through October. The study found overall Democrats received 26 negative comments from the networks. Republicans received 94 negative comments overall. Positive comments tallied were 13 for Democrats and 14 for Republicans. Democrats had a total of 39 evaluative comments, with 67% of them being negative. Republicans got 108 total comments, 87% negative. Candidates with the most focus have been John Fetterman for Democrats and Herschel Walker, Dr. Mehmet Oz, and Carrie Lake for Republicans. Comments on Walker have been 89% negative and 82% negative for Oz. Carrie Lake has received 100% negative comments from the networks. With the economy and inflation being the major issue for most voters surveyed, the networks instead have been focusing on the topic of abortion.
Topic of abortion. Let's start there. It was a good point that was made, to the point of emotions.
Right.
Like, what role do emotions play in politics today?
And they play the most role.
The biggest role.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean that's what politics is. It's all how to get you into your emotions. Because you see it, both sides play the race card, right? One more than the other. One side will play the patriot vein more one side than the other. So it's all about trying to placate to your emotions. What is it that's going to get you? What is it that you're passionate about? The last thing he mentioned there was abortion being a major issue.
Yeah,
that stirred up the whole country, especially when the Supreme Court dropped the ruling, to overturn Roe versus Wade. And I mean, that was not just political mayhem; that was mayhem throughout the whole country. But it was all stirred up by what they call now the legacy media, the media legacy.
And it plays a role in who you choose too, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I know for whatever reason, like, most of us haven't heard too much about Herschel Walker prior to this political climate. All of a sudden, he's everywhere, and the worst person to communicate a thought that we can see. But then on the other end, you got people talking about the president and who he's advocating for. So, the biggest thing is that I'm finding is that a lot of emotion is definitely being stirred up right now across the country.
Without a shadow of a doubt. For those who don't know who Herschel Walker was, he was a football player, played running back for the Chicago Bears at one point, and also the Dallas Cowboys. And now he's a African American Republican that is gunning for I think the Senate or was it? Yeah, the Senate in Georgia.
Yeah.
And so and then
family in Georgia.
So so it's like it's a crazy it's a sensitive situation because he is African American.
From what I'm hearing, like the spiking, I guess the talking points right now are the fact that he's African American, he's Republican. Woo! You know what I'm saying? That's a trigger for a lot of different people.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the same ticket, he's advocating for no abortions, having a scandal now that just recently came out about his past that he funded one. You know what I mean? So it's like emotions make you get petty. People getting deep, digging into people's lives to see, whether their actions are contradictions of their political.
Yeah, politics is it's the waters are shark infested. Like if you run for any level of office, prepare to have your whole past brought up. Prepare to have
possible future.
Prepare to have people throw false accusations at you. Prepare for that. Prepare for stories that dramatize something that happened or exaggerate or just straight out lie. You have to prepare for that. And so the issue, the one thing that both sides, that the media on both sides of the aisle, whether you watch Fox, whether you watch CNN, whatever the case is, what they want you to do is not study it for yourself.
Right.
They want you just to take their word.
Speaking of Fox News, check this clip out.
Well, I think it's about abortions, what we're talking about. When you saw that tremendous swing in the Wall Street Journal poll, it's basically that those voters are saying that the economy is their primary concern, less so abortion. But I do think that also in that Wall Street Journal poll, you see that there's a high rate of interest and likely voter turnout among white Americans that exceeds the level of interest among Black and Latinos. I think that maybe is more as compelling and as determinative as those numbers coming from the white suburban women.
And why do you think they're not interested? Why the passivity this time around, Juan?
I don't know that they're not interested. It's still, in the high 60s. But what you're seeing is that there's a very high level of interest in this election coming from white voters. And I think that, it's just who gets fired up. Remember, midterms are always about turnout. That's what it comes down to.
Like you said, it's always about turnout. So what you think about that clip, man? What's your words?
A couple of things that I wrote down was, that, the conversation at one point was talking about, whether people are being fired up because of abortion or whether they're fired up because of the economy. And so what Juan Williams is saying, for those who don't know who Juan Williams is, he is a Fox News contributor, but he's also a Democrat. So that's the kind of side that he talks about, tries to bring, hey, don't just talk about this. He's a very smart guy who has Democratic leanings. And so, but the one thing that is very interesting is how he brings race into it. You heard that? The white voter. So basically, it's
somebody's trigger.
It's a huge trigger. It's what it's doing is stirring up the emotions. If the Democrats are basically saying, if we lose this election, it's because white people came out in droves.
White women specifically.
White suburban women came out
they don't win GOP
in droves because abortion is huge. It is a huge, but it's always a huge topic every 2 to 4 years.
Right.
So nothing really changed. The only thing that changed was Supreme Court pulling down Roe versus Wade. And when you look at that conversation, the media on both sides of the argument exaggerating a whole lot of stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So again, it's placating to your emotions, pulling you in, and to the point where I don't even want to hear what Flavius has to say.
Yeah.
I'm so fired up, so stirred up, and anything that you say is a lie. It's a lie.
Gotta be.
Oh, it's a lie. See, all you're doing is following the script.
Mm-hmm.
And both sides have scripts. And all they do is play it and play it and play it over and over and over again.
Talking points.
So race is a huge topic. Every
is.
2 to 4 years.
It is.
That's the only time you will see politicians on both sides go into a neighborhood or a suburb that doesn't necessarily, that they won't normally go to try to gather some votes.
They want to be men and women of the people.
All peoples. Every 2 to 4 years. There was
years, yeah.
When Hillary was running for president in 2016, I think one of the reasons that she didn't win was because she went on the Breakfast Morning Club.
Yeah.
And was
she
talking
talked about hot sauce in her bag.
How she always carries hot sauce in her bag.
Yeah.
Like people
just expected it.
Right. And then she went to a black church, African American church.
Yeah.
And started preaching as if she was.
It's pandering, man. Pandering to, instead of making a genuine connection with the person, the individual, regardless of their skin color, you're pandering to, know what I mean, the culture. And you're trying to pander to their nationality. But nationalities are so vague these days that culture is what you end up pandering to.
It's true. She was like, "What?"
I know it.
But then you also have Republican candidates that do the exact same thing.
True.
They pander, man, and it's I mean, I look at it, it's disgusting. You know what I mean? I'm like, how are you not offended? It's kind of like, when Republicans go into a Hispanic community and Donald Trump, I love burritos and tacos. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, what are you doing?
The black community is ice cream and burgers. Speaking of different sides, let's check out this next clip and continue the conversation that we're having tonight.
At this point, Oprah had stayed out of the race, saying that she would let Pennsylvanians decide, but she changed that position in an online discussion on voting in next Tuesday's election. She said in part, if I lived in Pennsylvania, I would have already cast my vote for John Fetterman for many reasons. The Pennsylvania seat has for months been seen as the most likely pickup opportunity for the Democrats in the evenly divided Senate. Polls show a close race between Fetterman and Oz, who does have the endorsement of former President Donald Trump. Former President Trump and President Joe Biden were both on the campaign trails last night. Biden in California and before that New Mexico, with Trump in Iowa campaigning for candidates while also teasing a potential 2024 presidential run.
In order to make our country successful and safe and glorious, I will very, very, very probably do it again, okay? Very, very, very probably.
Republican extremism is not limited to social programs.
Man,
Trump
listen,
running in 2024.
Besides the bombshell that Trump dropped at the right at the end there, how do you feel about celebrities getting involved in politics and using their power, persuasion, using their position, using their influence and notoriety to kind of sway people's votes in times like these?
People,
I was about to say their voice, but their voice and their vote. Go ahead.
If you have an opportunity to get somebody super popular on your side, it will definitely help sway some votes because they are guaranteed. They're basically what people are. It's kind of like in Biden when he ran. It was supposed to be like a tight race all the way up until that day. And like a week before, a couple of weeks before the election, who endorsed Biden? And all of a sudden, it was like a landslide victory.
Oh,
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Not The Rock, not the president of 2020. When is he running again?
Oh,
He
he
was gonna
said
be
he's not
president one
running.
day.
He said he is not running.
Side note, but anyway, go ahead.
But yeah, so but the
Glitch
Rock
in the Matrix.
the Rock
Go ahead.
endorsed Joe Biden, and it was a big deal.
Go ahead.
It was a big deal in the news cycle.
Yeah.
So and all of a sudden, Biden won. And 80 million votes to 70 million votes, or whatever the final tally was.
Yeah.
So politics now, unfortunately, Oprah doesn't have that same type of pool.
She don't?
She
You
really
know,
don't.
Oprah, you know what I'm saying? Between her and Joyce Myers, they
or what's her name?
I don't know if anybody compares to those two, but who are you throwing in the pot? No.
Because I mean, think about it. All the celebrities put their vote put their support behind Hillary Clinton, and it didn't work out. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I mean?
So it's a game. We all know it's a game.
Game changer.
It's a huge game, and we all know. At this point,
Yeah.
I want to throw it out there for the people.
Yeah.
Does your vote really count?
I don't know. While we think about that, let's get this first question in. Charlotte said, why can folks see, and I believe she means why can't they see the obvious? It's so obvious.
When your emotions in a situation,
perspective,
when your emotions are in too deep,
yeah,
it's kind of like what they say.
Uh-huh.
When you're so emotional about something,
yeah,
you won't do the obvious.
Mm.
You don't know how to operate in common sense because
what is that? A spirit of rebellion?
Because what you're thinking is right.
Oh.
I'm in the right. You in the wrong.
It's based off of the perspective. It's based off of the biases. It's based off of the inescapable perspective and vantage that each one of us has from walking in our own footsteps. You know what I'm saying? But depending on how you were raised, what side of the world you were raised in, who you become friends in, what your religious beliefs are, what your nationality is, your skin color, all these things for some reason get funneled through politics. You know what I mean? And today we've had years of preachers standing with politicians. We've had politicians coming into churches. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be, it could be a thousandaire church. It doesn't have to be one of the mega churches. It could be one of the almost mega churches. But either way, they come in, you know what I'm saying, and try to get the vote of the people. Or often the rhetoric that they spout or the debates that they have find their ways into the pulpits of many believers. You know what I mean?
Man, and
a lot of people use the justification of the prophets of old. Oh, they went to the kings. Oh, they went and talked to this person. Oh, they were involved during this war or this altercation. And the people of God we need to speak up. We need to stand up. Is that the right type of motivation for us to have? Are we supposed to get involved in the governments of the world?
I think, there's a couple of scriptures that are pretty clear on the level of involvement when it comes to praying for those in leadership, when it comes to obeying the authority that God, even at the end of the day, has.
I feel like that's where we started, but it seems like people.
Yeah. So
further than that.
So it's kind of like an example, like, and I'm trying to be very careful how I say this because, there's only really one church that I've been to in the last 17 years.
Okay.
But I remember when Obama first won the presidency, right? And obviously was a big deal. Huge deal. Great accomplishment. Great accomplishment. And placating to, again, like to should believers get involved? Should we get involved as believers? And it was an amazing thing to see how, because I went to a predominantly African American church.
Okay.
And I remember, man, sitting there. And the pastor of the church was like, welcome to service and give God all the glory, right? Give God all the glory. And you're like, ooh, you could do better than that. And then he was like, and congratulations to Barack Obama.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like a huge uproar. Everybody just stood up.
Man.
I mean, it was
when that time, I think it was the first time I went down to Georgia and I was involved in the churches and stuff that I told you about, singing and different things in the choir. That was the first time in a black church that I saw a politician come into the church and make a speech. It was after the service. I never seen this before. They were like, this guy, such and such, whoever he was, running locally for whatever government, he's coming in. We're going to give him some time to talk. And they literally handed him the mic like he was a preacher. I was so, obviously, I'm against all that. The shock of it, I couldn't turn away. I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Yes, sir.
Like, the people didn't come here for this.
But that's where it's coming to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because most pastors have a level of influence. The bigger the church, the bigger the influence. So what's happening, Dale? So politicians will use whatever they can to get as many votes as possible.
Right.
So they will use pastors. They will try to find pastors to gain their support and to hopefully sway and convince, hey, I'm a man of God. And I endorse so-and-so.
Such and such.
And
Texas, they did it in Texas too.
But it works. It works.
Yeah. Because I remember when Bush Jr. was running. Man, this church that I was like, signs, wonders, and miracles happen here. I have witnessed them. I will go throughout the land, back to Indianapolis and anywhere else, and tell them of what I've seen and experienced here. And it was like, that was the place where the same pastor, he didn't let a political official come into the church, but he stood up. I'm talking about that day he was a little bit more dressed like a politician than a salesman. A little bit beyond, the priesthood or professionalism in the church. I don't mind a good suit, but this was like not red carpet suit. This was more like White House suit. And he had the American pendant there, and he told everybody that it was God's will for us to support and pray for Bush. And this was before 9/11 kicked off. You know what I mean? This was just him getting in. And it was like a break in some reality that I existed in, that it was like, why are we even talking about this in here?
Yeah, man.
But it finds its way, man. Hold on 1 second, real quick. Because not only does it find its way in the church, but if there's personal issues, different things that pull you in other than just the name of the left or the right or Republican or Democratic or American. It's like different things they pull American citizens into. One of them will be spoken of at the end of this clip.
We're just over a month away from the midterm elections, and control of Congress is on the ballot. 538's election forecast shows Democrats are slightly favored to keep control of the Senate, while Republicans are slightly favored to win the House. But there is still time for an October surprise to shake things up. ABC News political director Rick Klein joins me live now for more on that. Rick, inflation and the economy are key issues this election cycle. Are Democrats vulnerable there?
100%, and they're very concerned that the OPEC Plus decision to try to take down production is going to mean a spike in gas prices. This has been something that Democrats have been able to trumpet a bit. We're hearing it around the country that people are still concerned about high prices, and this is the overwhelming issue. We're seeing it pop up in polls and race after race. Democrats on the run and increasingly concerned about that being a drag.
Now, President Biden announced that he's pardoning all Americans convicted of simple marijuana possession under federal law. That's a policy broadly popular with the American people. Could that impact the midterms?
It's also a policy that
I got a lot of jokes. I'll save them for another day, but it's issues like that, just like they said right at the end, that are, whether it's marijuana, and even though people think that's a conversation of whether it should be legalized or not, or keeping it legal or illegal is one side of the political aisle. While on the other side, there's people who are affected, locked up, doing time for possession of said thing that they're trying to make, legal.
Yeah.
Let's check out some of the comments here.
Chris says, I think we should, if we care enough to have something to say when they start doing crazy stuff. He goes on to say, but I don't let commercials or media gaslight me either way. I do my research and see what they push and historically vote or champion. Yes, Chris, you are part of the minority, my brother. You are part of the minority. And Charlotte, Charlotte got to bring the scriptures. We lean on Charlotte to drop these scriptorial bombs on every single one of us. He says, do not be deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap.
That's right. This is about more than something that can be ignored or explained supernaturally. It's like at times it feels like when two Christian men or two Christian families pray for one team on the NFL football league to win versus another family praying the same thing to the same God. And it's like certain things God is involved in, certain things he's not. There are certain things that we get sucked into, pulled into. You can't really be a citizen and ignore politics. You can't be fully ignorant of it. Even though certain people jump in with ignorance at a certain level, you got to get started somewhere. And you got to wade through the conspiracies and the emotions and the personal things that you're like, man, if they would just do this for me, I'll vote for that individual. And sometimes those lines get crossed between the personal and the personal witness and the spiritual witness. I find it I see that there are those who are children of God who live their life on this earth identifying with the witness of the nature of humanity. And then there are children of God who identify more with the nature of Christ. And sometimes it seems like a roller coaster for both. But those who bear witness through their humanity, it's like the cares of life, all the things that most of us weren't warned against. Find reason or cause to cling to those things. Politics is one of the, to me, one of the greatest hooks
It's funny. It's funny, man, because the question that I just wrote down was, and this is for you guys that are watching. Does God want us involved? You know, we talk about should we be involved, but does God want us involved? And I really like what Flavia said, because at the end of the day, if you choose to be involved in politics, which is fine, don't involve God in politics. I don't think God, I mean, if God is the one who sets kings up and tears them down,
yeah,
then God has already chosen who's going to win what, when, or how. God doesn't leave that up to the people.
yeah.
I mean, as far as my knowledge goes, there was no democracy in the old days. God is the one who said, this is going to be your king. And, oh, you want a king? Well, I'm going to let you know, you're going to have some kings who are going to treat you like crap. They're going to be horrible to you. They're going to give us a king anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Their emotions.
You're going to choose them.
Their emotions. They were so emotional about how other nations had kings.
Yeah.
That it didn't matter if they were going to be bad. Think about that for a second. How history kind of replays itself. Nothing new, right, is under the sun. So here we are. I know he's not good, but I don't like the other side.
Right.
Give us that leader. And God's like, I'm letting you know. I'm these people who I'm putting in place.
Yeah.
Y'all wanted this. But y'all are so
and the key part is give us. And then he gives. And it's a lot of people miss that part, that sometimes God give people exactly what they believe they deserve. And then we can't stand that. But that's the worst relationship to ever be in. You ever dealt with somebody who gave you everything you deserved, never forgot, just always, no matter how far you go, no matter how much you change, they're always reminding you of what you've been. There's no room for growth with them because you don't deserve it. You deserve whatever. And it's like a lot of people, God will give you what you deserve, what you believe, what you can try your best to convince him that you deserve. This is what I need. This is what I want. I deserve this. And a lot of times he knows the only reason he's kept it from you is because it's not what you think it is. And there's been a lot of leaders back in the day, leaders today, soldiers, people involved in government at different levels that have found out that, you know, sometimes our choices are hard to take responsibility for when we can share the weight of our choices with so many other people. And I think that's what politics really gives people. Politics really gives you the ability to make a choice and not have to bear the weight of your decision alone. All of us, you know how people used to tell you, if you don't vote, you might as well, you can't say nothing. No matter how this happens, you can't say a word. Why would somebody feel that way? They only feel that way because politics really provokes. Go ahead.
I was saying it's so annoying. But Charlotte said that she felt like the Lord wanted her to vote in 2016 and 2020. And Chris just went ahead and agreed with everything that you were saying.
I'm just pointing at the fact that regardless of the things that are out there, my amazement and the thing is that I have to consider, that we all need to consider, is while we're getting so caught up in all these different facts and getting deep about all of this, what is God witnessing? Is he watching me allow something to pull me out of character? Is because I never under the closer I got to God, the closer I get to God. The less I understand people's desire to cling to their humanity, their flesh, their mortal side, and the things that affect them in this world. They try to, live this world or this life, but have like some supernatural edge as opposed to living the life given. They be saying it. He came to give us life and life more abundantly. Now, that life that you have, it's like I can tap into it. It's on reserve. I got a little bit. But at the same token, what he say, God told Samuel, they're not rejecting you, they're rejecting me. It's God is so, even when the devil stretched out his hand and affected Job, as most of us believe, if you go back and read your Bible, after the devil did all these crazy things to Job and went back to God, God said, "These times have I stretched forth my hand against Job." Like, why is God claiming actions that we say the devil is involved in if he's not in control?
It's what is very interesting is the one thing that God has clearly revealed, if you paid any sort of attention.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 2016 and even 2020, mainly. Before I get into that, my comment, Dale said, ultimately, God will deal with all the crooked people and politicians. I really don't worry about it. Good stuff. But here's the thing. We harp on, we preach on the united body of Christ. Unity in the church. Unity in the body. But you know what politics has done? Especially since 2016, 2020? The church is more divided than ever. Ever. You see it. Evangelicals versus non-denominationals versus Protestants versus Baptists versus and it's basically divided within race among churches.
And that lets you know what's going on with the churches.
So you literally see, if you vote Democrat, you are not a Christian. If you voted for Trump, you were led by Satan himself. It was funny at first.
It wouldn't work if there was not so much You know where I always see segregation? I shouldn't see it in my life as a black man. Maybe the outcome of it, the stories of it, the testimonies about it, the history about it. But you know where I see segregation today? Like I don't care. It ain't in Cracker Barrel. It ain't. It's in the church.
Church people.
The church is the last place where segregation reigns supreme. White church, black church, Hispanic church, African church, Asian church. And we calling it evangelical this and non-denominational that and Baptist this and Methodist that and Kojic this and Catholic this. But at the end of the day, why are politics so successful in these places? Because their constituents congregate and with segregation in these places. so they can just go there. And then who comes out instead of proclaiming the will of God, the word of God, the possibilities with Christ? They proclaim your rights and your wrongs based off of the rule of law, not even the old law. It ain't even the old covenant. It's got a couple of them in there, but mainly the 10 commandments. But the covenants and the law, it's not even in that. It's in the new law combined with the covenant. And together they run out and talk about their talking points. You don't believe in this, that means you're on this side. You don't believe in that, that means you're on this side. And this means we're against each other. And how could it work? Because the church that says that they belong to God is the most segregated place that I've ever witnessed in my life.
And it's also hilarious because with the segregation comes a rise of all these prophets and prophetesses and words from the Lord about who is going to win politics.
Right.
The Lord showed me in the dream.
I seen it.
I was having a conversation. I was just walking in the hallway, and the Lord just stopped me. And the Lord gave me a word about who was going to win and why. It is a rise. And if you are in politically aligned
right
with that word,
I
receive it in Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name. It's the will of God.
The Lord has given us victory. And
Antichrist will be questioning it.
And out of all the false prophecies, Brian Karn was definitely one that was interesting. But man, Paula White really took the cake.
Yeah.
At least Brian Karn kind of sort of apologized. Like, y'all, I missed it.
Yeah, I have one a little bit more close to home than that. It was coming in, was in my house talking about some God said.
I had one that was super close and I got punished for it.
But
that's a whole other conversation for a whole other time.
I know. We ain't gonna go there because you already know. We both can tag team on that. You know what I'm saying? But when it comes to a political view, a lot of times that's just what it is. That's just what is being counted on. It's not being counted for you, it's being counted against you. You ever met somebody who was so against you, and then you found out something you did or some choice you made or whatever, they were counting on it? I mean, it's hard in that moment pride gets deflated. Boldness gets deflated. Intelligence, superiority gets deflated in that moment because you realize this person is a step ahead of you. Or they figured you out to such a degree that they could oppose you in a way that's not advantageous to your life. And that's what the enemy does constantly. So what happens is we develop these spiritual views from God. Those spiritual views start getting a narrator, a conductor, to try to explain it, because sometimes we say all the time, the King James Version is hard to understand. God is hard to grasp. This church it's always hard when you hear people talking. So there's always somebody that may not be, for you, but maybe against you, that's trying to interpret or trying to help you get an understanding of things that are real. So what happens is the government start appealing to your spiritual nature. They start acknowledging you as what you are, but they mix it with so many different other things. that it's like you can, if you're not careful, you can get so wrapped, tangled, and tied, so hooked, so caught in the net that you forget that this ain't the fisherman you want. This one came to kill, steal, and destroy, to devour you. There's another one that's a fisher of men who's come to save you. But the problem is that we've gotten so deep into this thing that we have lost sight of who is really giving us our spiritual narrative. We're made to feel like if we don't get involved, then we're not doing something. If we do get involved, then we're crossing some boundary and getting involved in something, and makes people start getting that false conviction, trying to convince somebody why they're getting involved, why they believe something happens. But it's just like those people who pray on football games, basketball games, and they're wrong. Did God not hear them? Was God ignoring their requests? Does he not love you?
Well, I feel
Is he
that way.
not a just judge that feels your frequent infirmities? Did he not make himself a little lower than the angels? Was he not offended to be likened to his brothers? I mean, that's his real reputation. So if that's the case, what, he ain't hearing you? That your candidate's supposed to win? What, is he lying to you? Telling you somebody was supposed to win, but they're not? What's happening? The Bible says that you'll know his word. They asked him, how will we know if it's you or not? He said, if the thing that is said does not come to pass, it's not me. And there's so many believers out there who cannot accept being wrong. It's the clearest. You think it's not clear to God that you hate being wrong? You hate it so much that you are rejecting God. And somewhere inside of you, you are aware of that level of rejection. And you just don't want to be wrong. But you've been wrong year after year, election after election. You voted for people who didn't win. You stayed out of elections and just told people who was going to win and they didn't win. Or even the people that you said was going to win. The outcome that you said, the presumption that you gave behind that didn't follow through with the integrity of God's word.
Right.
But you hate being wrong. I mean, you can't stand it so much that it's like looking in the mirror and refusing to see yourself. You hate being wrong so much that you refuse to see that your words are a contradiction. That the stuff that you're dreaming didn't come to pass. The stuff you said didn't come to pass. And God is still trying to get your attention and tell you, I'm speaking to you about my concerns. They're just not big enough for you. They're just not as cinematic as you want them to be. They're just not as dramatic as you would like them to be. They're not on the world scale like you want them to be. The significance is not as great, and there's no grandeur in the influence that I've given you or the position I've given you to play. So what happens? People in worldly positions start making appeals to us spiritually. I want you to listen to Joe Biden in this clip, and I want you to notice how he brings up spiritual names, titles, whatever the case may be. But is he really talking to the people of God or the people who think they're hearing from God? I don't know. Let's watch this and see. You see.
Every generation, including those who've been excluded before, we believe we should leave no one behind, because each one of us is a child of God. And every person is sacred. If that's true, then every person's rights must be sacred as well. Individual dignity, individual worth, individual determination. That's America. That's democracy. That's what we have to defend. Look, even as I speak here tonight, 27 million people have already cast their ballot in the midterm elections. Millions more will cast their ballots in the final days leading up to November the 8th, excuse me. For the first time, this is the first time since the national election of 2020. Once again, we're seeing record turnout.
Y'all heard what he said. We're all children of God. When a Democratic president is saying, I'm talking to the children of God, and then President Trump in his time frame as a Republican president says, I'm talking to the children of God, who are the children of God listening to? Who are you hearing when both sides are talking to you? They're targeting you. They're speaking to you. They're singling out you. And for those of you who don't know how the Catholic Church refers to their people who are similar to the born again, they talk about dignity of mankind, human dignity. It's two witnesses that are being addressed. There's a witness that is a spiritual one, child of God. There's a witness that does it according to their humanity, the dignity of humanity. How can you ignore the dignity of mankind? Do you step over the homeless? Do you yell at children? Do you not have a heart? That's to your dignity. That's to your humanity. It appeals to you. It makes you, it compels you, if you're not careful,
whatever your morals are,
yeah, to lean one way or another. But then there's another call that he just said to the children of God. They're pulling at you too. They're not pulling at you hoping for a different outcome. They're pulling at everybody out there. What's the outcome? Just because they're talking to you, does that mean the outcome is for you or against you? It's important. I'm not saying we're not going to tell anybody not to vote or that they shouldn't, as a citizen of any land, not take part in the direction of their government or things that affect their citizenship. What we will say is that if you're part of the kingdom, they're talking to you too. And the only difference is that human dignity can stay in character and still vote. A child of God has to be in the character of God, whether they vote or not.
And that's a very, very beautiful point. And so it's like when it comes to, and in my clothing, as they say, when it comes to politics, when it comes to how you feel, when it comes to which aisle you tend to lean on.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the authority or the right to tell the other side whether or not they serve God, whether or not they're a true believer, whether or not they're, just because they're essentially voting how they feel, the lesser of two evils.
Mm.
I saw a meme, that was like, somebody just relaxing, eating dinner, like here am I relaxing while everybody's wondering whether they should vote for Lucifer or they should vote for Satan.
Mm.
So it's like, so it was a funny meme, but there's so much impact on there, because it's like, either way, it has no effect on the kingdom.
Mm.
It's not like God has this has his plan written out so perfect. Like, okay, this is what's going to happen in 2022, and then by February of 2025, when the new president comes in, this is what I'm going to start doing. And then all of a sudden, oh, God's like, the candidate that I wanted to win didn't win. You know what? Back to the old drawing board. I can't believe
that didn't work.
I cannot believe this.
Let me adjust.
Jesus, didn't I tell you to sway the spirit? We need a conference call like right now, because my plan didn't work out like it was supposed to. Like, no, like that's ridiculous and that's crazy to think that.
Yeah.
So again, you vote. If y'all vote. Have a great time.
Yeah.
Just don't involve God as the reason why you are voting for a certain way. Don't involve God because, you know, I go to a more conservative leaning church. I don't believe in abortion. I don't believe in this. Or don't involve God because you go to a more democratic leaning where, yes, God doesn't want us to kill, but God also gives us a free will. We can't force people to make that decision. We can only allow the spirit to convict. That's fine and dandy. Just don't involve God, who has already chosen who the next leaders are going to be. Don't do it, y'all.
Sometimes the hardest thing to do is just accept God's will. There's two things that we've learned in the course of this fellowship. One of the hardest things for people to do is just to believe God. Another thing is to accept his will.
Yeah, I've been there. I'm guilty.
I've been there. We all been there.
Man.
We all been there.
So from y'all listen, y'all. We, I'm gonna give Flavors the last word, but before we do, y'all, we want to again thank you guys so much for the support that y'all been giving us. Thank you guys so much for tuning in every single Saturday night. Make sure you follow the page at the F.I.R.M 365 24/7 on Facebook and on YouTube and on Instagram. If you have not yet, make sure you hit that love button. Make sure you hit that share button. The more you share it, the more you comment, the more you love it, the algorithm kicks up, it kicks in, and it allows other people to see what is going on. So we definitely appreciate that. And also invite people to go to YouTube at the F.I.R.M 365 24/7. And just invite them to hit that subscribe button. It takes 2 seconds. We are looking for 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2023.
Gotta get it. We gotta get it.
Help us to get there.
It's for a reason. It's not. If anybody y'all should know us by now. This ain't about popularity. This ain't about just being famous.
It's not. It's not.
Absolutely. You know what I'm saying? But
okay, yeah.
We're telling the people it's not. But anyways. Hey everybody, you know what I'm saying? We appreciate y'all being here for
back.
We back. Nah, man, listen, y'all. Here at the fellowship, we don't really have political views. We have a kingdom view. We have the view of righteousness. It trumps. It breaks every mold. It surpasses every boundary. It stands firm in the face of any alliance or any peer pressure on this earth. It is the thing that represents sanctification. We are set apart. And so at the end of the day, we don't have a political view. We have a kingdom view. And though we don't have a political view, we do have views on politics. You know what I'm saying? So just because we don't have a political view, painted or the narrative does not come from politics. We do have a vantage point from on high about things that are going on in the kingdoms of man. and the governments of men. Sometimes it's easier to get involved in worldly things than it is to just be who God made you. It's familiar. And there are unclean spirits in this world. One of them is a familiar spirit. It'll get you every time if you're not anchored in something. So we're glad that y'all are anchored in to the righteousness of God. And for those of you who are not, join us at this fellowship Saturday nights live right here on Facebook and on YouTube, you know what I mean, at the F.I.R.M podcast, where we gather and God has the final say of this fellowship. You know what I mean? Ulysses, you got anything else you want to drop on the people?
We do have a comment.
Okay. Drop that comment.
He said, God should be a reason we vote for or against certain issues. We still have a voice. They once voted on slavery.
Hey, you talking to two veterans, you know what I'm saying? So what the average man won't do, we have. So we do have a voice. We do have action we could take.
We could take. But here's the thing.
No buts.
And
with that being said.
And with that being said, you are absolutely correct. I apologize. And with that being said, does your vote really count? Does it really matter when God already knew slavery was going to be abolished? You know, so if God can turn the heart of a king a certain direction, then he can turn the heart of people to vote a certain way.
You know, it's politics is a touchy subject. We could talk all night about it. You know what I mean? But we are here to celebrate. You know what I mean? To get deep if we have to. You know what I mean? And we got deep tonight. So
we're here for it.
Next week, we got another great subject for you guys. I believe that we're going to be getting into
soul ties.
Woo! I think we're going to be getting into soul ties, talking about relationships. We're talking about when you just can't let somebody go. When something has been tied together and you need a little bit of extra help getting loose, you know what I mean? So be with us next week, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to be talking about soul ties. The topic of discussion may change, but it'll be this category that we discuss, you know what I mean? So be there with us. Let somebody that has been through, you know, things like this, let them know that we're going to be on, you know what I mean? And we're going to talk about some things. You might get some answers. You might get some solutions. Somebody might say something live while we're live that may be a blessing to you, may help somebody. So make sure your peoples is there. That being said, we got through politics.
We got through it. Good job, Flavius, getting through politics. Between the devil and Satan, vote the devil because his name is Satan and the devil is an adjective. Yeah. But it's the meme still stands. You're still voting for evil. You're still voting for evil.
But we got through it.
Big shout out to Flavius for making it through. Y'all, hey, listen, y'all. And a moment of transparency. You know, we avoid politics as much as possible, but Flavius much more than me, because you know. But listen, y'all. So everybody just give Flavius a big shout out for making it to politics. It is not an easy subject because it can get emotional.
I leaned on the clips.
Oh, and bro, good job with them clips. And also, y'all, I need y'all to pray for me. Because if you weren't here at the beginning of the podcast, I opened up about transparency that I bought me the jackpot lottery lotto ticket thingy.
Okay,
So you know, some of y'all are like, ooh, that's a sin. Forgive me, you know what I'm saying? But pray for me. And if y'all let me know that y'all pray for me, and if I do win this $1.6 billion jackpot, you know, I'll give you $500. That's all I'm gonna say.
$500.
$500.
Don't be Joe. We not for sale, brother. You know what I'm saying? You take your billion and you enjoy it. You know what I'm saying? And while you spending your billion by yourself and just, you know, do all that, you just know we'll be over here on the Lord's side, on the humble side, on the impoverished poverty.
I just want to say,
hey man, you know what I'm saying? Don't
everybody
forget your
just touch and agree.
Listen, man, we gotta go. Hey, what did we just say about praying for Thursday? See?
Oh, my bad.
Go.
My bad.
All right, y'all. We gotta get up out of here. Love y'all. It's the F.I.R.M podcast.
Be released from that anger, resentment, and bitterness.
You know, that's evident.
Our context on it, and it kind of changed the definition.
Convinced himself that he's sufficient for himself.
I love discipleship. Why I love mentoring.
The us and the us and them is ever growing.
Facebook posts, Instagram posts, just another way of connecting with people.
Saturday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for another great conversation on F.I.R.M podcast.
$740 million take home?